Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to another video I'm bringing you today on Dragon Ball Z. In this video, we're going to be broaching the subject of one thing that many fans have been talking about for years and years on end in this Dragon Ball community, and that is the idea of Evil Goku. Now with the coming of Dragon Ball Super, the new series from Akira Toriyama and the continuation of Dragon Ball Z, and with the introduction of a possible parallel universe, fans are up in a frenzy talking about the possibility of an evil Goku being in this series. But in this video, I'm going to tell you why that shouldn't be the case, and really why this idea shouldn't happen because it's not a very good idea to begin with. So without further ado, let's get started. Now when it comes to parallel universes and this twin sister universe, so to speak, that they've mentioned in this series and Super thus far in the manga, considering that we have a different god of destruction from this universe other than Beerus, and considering that the Earth at this point has been sort of ravaged, people are assuming that things have happened a little bit differently than they would have happened in our own universe. And as a result, they think that there might be some big variations on other characters that we've seen thus far. Enter Evil Goku. But when it comes down to it, considering the stuff that we saw in the main universe, in the main timeline, does it really even make sense for an Evil Goku to even exist at this point in time? And even if he did, what sort of threat could he even be? So let's look at it first from the perspective of if Goku remained evil in Dragon Ball and the series in general. What kind of differences would there be, and what kind of threat would Goku actually be in general? Well, to be honest, I don't think that there would be much of a threat to begin with this Evil Goku, and there's a number of reasons for this. Now let's assume that Goku never hit his head as a child. How long was he really going to stay with Gohan before he eventually went out on his own? Now of course we know that Grandpa Gohan raised Goku, and he saw the good in him, and thus he tried to raise him as his own child to be a good person. But as was said in the series, Goku was out of control before he eventually fell into that ravine, hit his head, and became a good boy. But considering the fact that Gohan was able to keep him in line, it should be apparent that Gohan was more powerful and obviously more well-trained than Goku. And going by Dragon Ball Minus, Gohan actually says this. So if Goku never actually changed in his ways, and Gohan saw him as a threat, is it really feasible to say that Gohan would allow him to live? Now of course we know about the Uzaro transformation. The transformation that turns the kid Goku into this gigantic ape, which is 10 times more powerful than anything he can muster on his own. And we know as a big point, as a part of the story, Gohan was killed by accident by Goku when he transformed into this state. But considering what Goku says in Dragon Ball, that Gohan warned him to stay indoors at night, especially during a full moon because a giant ape monster was outside. This means that Gohan almost certainly saw Goku transform into the state once before. So after seeing that Goku could transform into the state, and seeing how big of a threat it was, and seeing the likelihood that Goku would remain evil, is it very likely to conclude that Gohan would still allow him to live and become a giant threat to the Earth? But let's say realistically that Gohan would allow him to live because of his love for him as his grandson and his own surrogate son. This still doesn't bode well for Goku, as there's so many more powerful characters on the Earth after this point that would still be able to take him out. The biggest one above all would have to be Master Roshi. Now as we saw, Master Roshi was significantly more powerful than Goku before his training and even after his training during the first Tenkaichi Budokai in the series. During his training with Master Roshi and Krillin, Goku grew significantly more powerful than he had been in the series before that. And yet during his fight with Master Roshi, Goku was essentially picked apart by Roshi because he was not only significantly more powerful than Goku, but had technique on his side. It was only due to multiple Deus Ex Machinas during that fight that Goku was able to even come close to winning against Roshi at all. And yet in the end, he still came up short. But again, Goku still has that Uzaru transformation, so you'd think that it's a possibility that maybe Goku would still be able to overcome Master Roshi in their fight. But the thing is that Goku did transform into the state during their fight, and Master Roshi immediately went into his full power state and neutralized Goku, in this case by blowing up the moon. But it was heavily implied that Master Roshi would have been able to actually kill Goku with the Kamehameha if he actually targeted it at him. So how realistic is it to say that an evil Goku, who wouldn't have received any of this training by likely Gohan or Master Roshi, would be able to stand any chance even as an Uzaro against him? And it gets even worse for this Evil Goku because there's even more characters out there who would be able to defeat him, such as Tien. And as we saw during his fight with Goku in Dragon Ball, despite the fact that Goku had even more additional training on his side in between the two Tenkaichi Budokais, Tien was still pretty much on par with Goku, and on top of this, if it was a real fight to the death, Tien could have used the Tri-Beam at any point and killed Goku with it instantly. So this is yet another threat that the Evil Goku would not be able to overcome. And then there's King Piccolo. Say perhaps if Pilaf and the gang actually released King Piccolo just as they did before, this Evil Goku would stand no chance whatsoever in a fight against Piccolo, as was determined considering the fact that Goku had so much training up to this point and still was handily defeated. And then Piccolo was able to get that much stronger with his wish for youth. But let's say once again that Goku got past every single one of these threats up until this point, despite how unreasonable that would be. Goku would still have to fight Kami, the god and guardian of the Earth. And as we saw, Kami was significantly more powerful than even King Piccolo in his prime. And the thing is, not only was Kami more powerful, but even Mr. Popo, his attendant, who said he was weaker than Kami, was even more powerful as well. So as you can see in this point, there is instance after instance in which Goku would not be able to overcome threats that would be in his way. And thus, because of this, it is unlikely that we could see Goku even making it to the end of the original Dragon Ball portion of the series, because he would be defeated by a number of different heroes who would be protecting the Earth at all costs. Now let's look at Goku's power in Dragon Ball in general. More specifically, how did he achieve this power? Well, despite Goku starting off stronger than normal human beings because he was a Saiyan, and Saiyans are a species who come from a planet of 10 times gravity, as has already been demonstrated, Goku to start out with would still be significantly weaker than Gohan, Master Roshi, Kami, and a number of other characters in the series. This is because Goku's power and abilities in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z don't come from something that he was necessarily born with, but training in a number of different boosts throughout the course of the series. It's because Gohan taught him basic martial arts, and Master Roshi's training made him much stronger and faster, and because he went on that training mission in between the two different tournaments before he fought Tien, and because he trained with Korin atop Korin's tower, and because he was able to drink the sacred holy water before fighting Piccolo, which you could only be pure of heart in order to do so, and then because he trained with Kami for additional extra years. And not only this, but because he fought the forces of evil throughout the series, which allowed him to get additionally stronger throughout the course of it. If Goku is still evil, he probably wouldn't have even fought the Red Ribbon Army, or King Piccolo, or done any of the things that he did in order to defend the Earth and in order to combat evil. If Goku was evil, it's doubtful that he would even enter the tournaments to begin with, but rather try and go about destroying all of humanity on the Earth, at which point he'd probably attract the attention of these different heroes and be killed. So it's not only because of this training and because of these various boosts and battles that he fought that he was able to become as strong as he did at the end of Dragon Ball, but it's because of the fact that he was good that he was even allowed to receive any of this training, get any of these boosts, or fight any of these villains in the first place. But then, even after all this training, after all these ridiculous boosts and these Deus Ex Machinas that happened throughout the course of the series, what happened when he fought Raditz? He was utterly destroyed. So despite all of the training that he received throughout the course of the series, all the fights that he had been in, and all of the Deus Ex Machina boosts that he received, Goku is still nothing next to his brother, who is an inferior warrior compared to a number of other warriors throughout the series despite him being an elite Saiyan. And only through teamwork with Piccolo and a rage boost as a result of his son was he able to defeat Raditz at the cost of his own life. And Raditz was nothing compared to all of the villains that came later, including his own other two Saiyans in his squad. So just imagine how weak Evil Goku, who would likely train on his own, would be compared to any of these other characters that came afterwards in Dragon Ball Z. He would be nothing even compared to the weakest of Frieza's soldiers, and even more so nothing compared to the weakest of the Z fighters, including Yamcha or Chaozu. So wanting there to be an Evil Goku on Champa's side, on the side of the Universe 6 fighters, makes no sense whatsoever, as he would be no threat whatsoever compared to any of the fighters that they would use on their team. But even aside from his own power, an Evil Goku would never make any sense whatsoever and is not an idea that should ever really be considered in any legitimate way because it goes against the fundamental nature of the character itself. Goku, despite starting out as evil, was a good character after he hit his head, and watching his trials against the forces of evil, and watching him grow stronger not only in his own physical strength and abilities, but as a person and as someone who actually cares about the rest of the world. And having his own family is what really defined the character and made us love him to begin with. It was his never say die, never give up attitude. No matter how big the enemy in front of him was, no matter how evil they were, what reputation they had, Goku would never give up and would always remain good and true to himself. And despite fighting for himself to become stronger, to grow stronger so that he could test his own limits, Goku also fought for those friends in his family that he loved. So to have this character who is fundamentally good, who is pure of heart, and through all of this pure of heart has been able to become such a great and iconic character and hero for the world, the universe, and in pop culture, turn or be an evil version of himself and completely negate and throw away all of what he has established as a character up to this point in time, and either fundamentally misunderstand or not comprehend the nature of this character, his backstory, and what him being good really means. Or just desiring to see an evil Goku because it's a more edgy, interesting, and different thing that we've seen before, while tossing out the canon and the ideas behind what Goku really is as a character, which also ties into the fundamental misunderstanding of Dragon Ball Z and Goku's journey as a whole, is something that would really inherently be a bad idea for the series, and would give far too much, and is something that really just belongs in fan fiction. Because at the end of the day, evil Goku is a stupid idea. Well, my name is Mike, and this has been another video that I'm bringing you on Dragon Ball Z. Tell me your own thoughts in the comments section, what you thought of this video, what you think of evil Goku, the possibility of that character, and what you thought of my analysis on this. Do you agree with me or do you disagree? Let me know down below. Also, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future. Well, there actually was an evil Goku named Turles, and did you know that he's actually Goku's cousin?
Shut the fuck up and stop making up bullshit before I come down there and shove that keyboard up your ass! And you better subscribe!